Today is a good day. Why do I say today is a good day? Today is a good day because for the first time in a very long time, something is taking place politically that I want. Belated, yes, but taking place nonetheless. There is going to be further investigations into the origins of Russiagate. And in this case, not exactly the origins, but I'll explain it a little bit further. But Russiagate is being investigated. And I think that is an amazing thing. I hope you guys are doing all right. My name is Jamarl Thomas. I am your host. This is the Progressive Soapbox. You are not seeing deja vu if you're watching this video again, and you may be watching it for the second time. The first video, I hate it 1,000 times, hate it. But sometimes at the end of it, you look at it, you're like, okay, that's not that bad. No, I hated that video. So let's try this one more time. Let's be a little bit more accurate in the way we describe this. So William Barr is appointing prosecutor John Durham to look into whether or not the way information was used or the way intelligence services were spying on Trump, whether it was lawful. Now, there's another investigation though that's taking place, meaning this is the second investigation that's being opened on this. And let's see. Let's be specific. Attorney General William Barr has appointed U.S. Attorney to examine the origins of the Russia investigation and determine if the intelligence collection involving the Trump campaign was lawful and appropriate, a person familiar with the matter told Associated Press on Monday. Now, there's another point, though. The inquiry, which will focus on the government's methods to collect intelligence related to the Trump campaign, were lawful and appropriate, is separate from an investigation by the Justice Department's Inspector General. The agency's watchdog is also examining the Russia probe's origins, and Barr has said he expects the watchdog report to be done in May or June. Good. Not only good, I would be more provocative. I would say I don't even understand the perspective that says Barr shouldn't be doing this. Barr is doing his job, and I don't mean job in the sense that Trump put him there as this kind of plant. I mean, a conspiracy theory. I mean, come on. Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or anywhere in between, just earnest, not a partisan hack, just a person for the moment. A counterintelligence investigation was opened on one of the campaigns on the basis of a conspiracy theory. Why doesn't that bother you? And why wouldn't you want to know whether or not the people that were involved in opening that counterintelligence investigations were doing so in an apolitical fashion? Meaning, as human beings, you see this guy running for office. And in fact, take personalities out of it for the moment. And just to make a clear point, just bare bones level of what we know. A counterintelligence investigation was opened on one of the political campaigns, screaming Russia. And screaming Russia in this way using a dossier that has been utterly discredited, and not just discredited. They had red flags on that dossier before ever getting the FISA warrant. Meaning the process that they were supposed to divulge everything that they knew about this warrant. I mean, everything that they knew about this in order to get this warrant, in order to spy on one of the campaigns that is literally running to be president of the United States. Did they divulge that this was politically motivated? I mean, after all, this was something that was apparent to them at this point. And yet they still end up getting a document that allowed them to spy on the political campaigns. And not just spy on the campaign, send a honeypot. They sent a honeypot to try to get Papadopoulos. This was utterly amazing. On a conspiracy theory, this dossier was paid for by the opposition. If they got a FISA warrant on one of the political campaigns for something that they knew at that time was dodgy, shouldn't it be an extraordinarily high bar for the intelligence services to be used in this way? And should you want to know, or should you be certain that they weren't being used in a way almost like a weapon to take down one of the campaigns? Because understand what this allowed. It allowed one campaign or to be spied on, one, but also to give legitimacy to something that had no legitimacy. And have that thrown into the public sphere, in which the media ran with it. And the people who hated Trump ran with it because they didn't care one iota, one way or the other. This was somewhat of a political weapon. Why don't you want to know whether that was done in a legit fashion? I guess that's my main point. Sam Cedar attacked Michael Tracy, asking him, well, look, based on what you knew at the time, do you believe the investigation had been open? And again, that's somewhat of a dodgy question, because what we knew at the time was being manipulated by an intelligence community that seemed to not particularly like one of the candidates. And going with the same argument, doesn't the same argument apply? Don't you want to ensure that this was legit? One of the political campaigns. So the president that was in office, a Democrat, has an attorney general that he put there. One of the other people, the person that he's running against, the other campaign, was almost perp walked, but got off on extraordinarily suspicious cases. I mean, in an extraordinarily suspicious way. And the people who allowed that person to get off were working on the campaign in order to get the new guy on. Like, all of this looks extremely dodgy. Once you add in the stuff from the Ukraine, oh God, even the Ukrainian embassy owns up to the fact that the DNC had a plant in the Ukrainian embassy. The information released on Manafort. Whatever you want to think of Manafort. The Ukraine ends up prosecuting, or at the very least admitting, that was a legal entry into the U.S. politics. Like, all of this looks weird, and all of this goes in one specific direction that slants against Trump. And slants against him in a way that tries to damage him or even take him out that office. Don't you want to know, should there not be an extraordinarily high bar for something like this to take place, especially when what's at stake is the presidency of the United States? And by the way, I'm not saying Obama did it. I'm not saying Loretta Lynch did it. I am saying that even intelligence officials are human beings. And even they have things that they want and things that they may be concerned about in regards to the people who are running in offices. If the dossier, or if the FISA warrant wasn't received or wasn't gotten on honest pretext, meaning if there was something wrong with that process where that information wasn't divulged, then we have problems. Like, understand what I'm saying. If they got a FISA warrant on one of the campaigns and it was done under suspicious pretenses, meaning they didn't divulge all the information that they knew, particularly if they didn't divulge information showing that the dossier was dodgy, or that it was politically motivated, or that Steele had political agenda, or that Steele said that he wanted to get the information out before Election Day. If this is not divulged in the FISA warrant, we have problems. We have problems. So I'm going to end this here. I'm not going to keep this one much longer. But this is good. Why wouldn't you want to know? Why wouldn't you want to know? Democrats are wringing their hands about this. Mainstream media is wringing their hands about this. They're acting like, oh my God, this is a witch hunt. No, what took place prior was a witch hunt. And 3 years, our politics have been engulfed in what amounts to conspiracy theory. And this has real world political consequences in the way that the president of the United States can interact with a nuclear power, meaning a nation that between the two of us have 90% of the nuclear weapons. If this was a conspiracy theory, and if this was done with this notion of attacking the president, this had real world consequences. The United States is right now trying to normalize some level of relationship with Russia, but that was something that was entirely impossible based on the conspiracy theory that engulfed our politics. We should know. We should know. We should know. 1,000 times we should know. In this case, yeah, Barr is doing God's work. Entirely apolitical. There is not a political bone in my body on this particular one. This is more so a thing about democracy itself. Did somebody or a group of people decide to take democracy or take it into their own hands? And we should know. It's a big deal. Batman kills somebody, Batman goes to prison. And that's a weird analogy. It just means, you allow a certain amount of leeway in regards to the way people go about their affairs, especially the intelligence services, because what they do is essentially work in the shadows. But if they're going to take the extraordinary step of spying on a political campaign in a way that seems to damage the campaign, especially damage it for long term, and it wasn't done in the strictest sense of legit, we should know. We should extremely know. It's one thing if there was something there. Nobody would care whether or not it was legit if there was something there. In a sense, Batman can beat up his bad guys. But if there was nothing there, and Batman beats up the wrong guy, Batman is going to jail. And in this case, we need to know whether or not this was done on the up and up. So, Barr, 2 Russiagate investigations, or the origins of the Russiagate investigations, be investigated 2 ways. One in the sense of the collection of materials, and the other one in the sense of whether or not the origins were legit. Yeah, yes. This is a good day. This is a good day. All right, guys. I will end this here. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. And you can always support this content through PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all. I'll see you in a few.